Hello, making a video. It's getting dark outside and I have my disco light on and my artwork in the monitor is shining at me with different colors. And I want to talk about the importance of giving a baby animal or human baby infinite safety and love and cuddling and warmth and physical contact. That is the most important thing there is in the world. That whoever adopts an animal, any age, any age animal, and particularly newborns or, puppies, young animal babies, and or human baby adoption or having a human baby, which I don't recommend. But if for anyone out there, if you are an animal mom or human mom, you have to understand that giving that infant or puppy or young child infinite love, cuddling, kissing, warmth, physical contact at all times. This is very, 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 very important. This has been on my mind for a very long time in my life. This is my main mission. This is why I exist, is to tell the public, don't do to an infant what my mother did to me. So it's a miracle that I am still existing, because what I have been through during my infancy, that was also during the dark ages, that was during the ages of Skinner and Watson, those very, very horrific psychologists that developed the behavioral approach, behavioristic, like everything was just based on external things. They thought they can just shape a living being with external modalities, like trauma, for example. They didn't realize, I don't think they realized what they were doing. Harlow comes to mind, horrific dark ages of psychology. That was during the 60s, the 50s and the 60s, dark ages, of human evolution, really, and of the intellectual, or I'd rather say anti-intellectual human development. So, and certainly there was no heart, there was no kindness, there was no compassion during that era, and I am absolutely horrified to see that there are still some universities in the United States that are repeating these tests that they have done on the Harlow monkeys, on the rhesus monkeys. I don't want to get into it now. I highly advise people to read about this. Harlow and his research team during the 60s, I think it was in 68, they did horrific tests on baby monkeys. Horrific, okay? A complete nightmare. And I want people to read about it. They even have photos. I completely break down. I get a complete nervous breakdown when I see that. My dad had a book on this where they actually had the photos, and I was just sobbing and crying, and I don't know, I was like 20, and my dad just couldn't understand at all. Not could not understand, why is she crying about this. He must be really disconnected or something, that he can't understand that. So, but it seems like the majority of humans are disconnected in this way. And it's heartbreaking for me to see that. And that's why I make videos, that's why I write blogs, that's why I wrote a book on health. I incorporate that as well. This goes together with holistic healing, is psychologically healing, healing your wounds from childhood to never ever be exposed to violence again, never be exposed to violent people again, avoid them as much as you possibly can, and if you have to deal with violent people, whether they are psychologically violent and abusive or physically violent in any way, it could be a butcher who says he's just doing his job. That's violence. Okay, the psychopathy. Okay, stay away from people like this. You can try to help people like this. You can send them meditation videos, but don't hang out with people like this. Okay, particularly not sensitive people like myself. We cannot handle this. We can't heal our own wounds if we hang out with people like this that are violent, or anyone. It could be a hunter, it could be a sharpshooter at some kind of border patrol. And they all say, I just did what they told me to do. Or a researcher in the laboratory doing cruel tests, and they all say, I just did what they told me to do, that's my job. No. Okay. Anyone who does that is a psychopath, or is a, I don't know, I use that word in a different way than it is used by psychiatry. So I put all violent people into that category, but I'll just say violent people. That's a violent person, whether they just follow the orders from someone else, or whatever the reason is that they're being violent or cold or callous. Okay, that's a violent person, and I stay away from people like this. I have to protect myself. Violent people are very broken psychologically. They are the most broken of all. But that's not an excuse to get them out of prison, and that's not some kind of justification for what they're doing. Okay. Violence is violence, it has to end. Okay? That's not an acceptable act out. Okay? That cannot be tolerated by anyone. It should not be tolerated by anyone. Okay? If you see violence, you have to report it. Okay? If you see violence against an animal, you can report it to the police. If they don't do anything, you have to report it to the Humane Society or the ASPCA or PETA, or any animal rights organization that you can find locally, or anyone who helps in your local community. Okay, reach out. Get them to help the animals. And never hang out with those people again. Okay, and my message to the world is, don't have children. So the world is overcrowded. Adopt instead. I recommend to people not to adopt human babies because they have human baby puppy mills in third world countries where they are actually holding women of different ethnicities, and their favorite ones are the European women that are going on vacation. Particularly, they particularly target teenage girls or very young women from Europe, and they snatch them. And this is not a conspiracy theory. Okay, this is actually happening. They snatch them. This happened many, many times, and then the person is missing, goes missing, is lost, and then the parents go back and they try everything to find them, and they can't find them. They went into the underground, into human puppy mills, where these women are held in unsanitary conditions, mistreated, impregnated, raped, and made to give birth, one baby after another. And they do this to dogs. Okay, it's equally cruel. Okay, and that's why we cannot ever support something like this. Cannot support a puppy mill. Yeah. When you see a breeder who has like a whole row of cages or shed rooms, stay away from that. Adopt a dog, adopt an animal, and don't adopt a human baby, because it really depends on the circumstances. There could be a circumstance where there are children in foster homes, and they got there because they were rescued and they came from dysfunctional homes or something. That's a different story. But there are actually human breeders, human baby breeders in the third world countries that are breeding particularly European women, and with different men, and they are selling those babies, and it's an absolute atrocity, and people are paying a lot of money for a human baby, and I don't know how much they pay, 20,000, 30,000 or whatever, a lot more than for a dog. And because they are paying, they're willing to pay. There are some women that want to adopt, and then they think they're doing some good, but what they're really doing is they're supporting human puppy mills. So that needs to come to an end, and it ends with the customer saying no more. Okay, so I highly recommend to adopt a dog from foster parents, foster family, or animal shelter. That's the way to go. Okay, there are so many waiting for a good home. That's what I highly recommend to women who want to become a mom, or many women that where their bodies are toxic and overwhelmed and overstressed, and they can't get pregnant, and they don't realize that this is actually a blessing in disguise, because there are way too many humans, and it is horrible suffering, and so it's better if they adopt. And then when you adopt from a shelter, an animal from a shelter, then you can give unconditional love, and that's the best there is. And whatever infant you have, human or animal, give unconditional love, okay? And always stay with that living being. Never leave that living being alone, ever. Okay? You guys take care.